Georgia.
2023 was the year that I finally got sick of sampling.
Yeah, 'cause girls is players too.
Initially, I gave passes to songs like I'm Good and First Class because I was happy to hear the songs that they sampled again, despite the fact that David Guetta and Jack Harlow really did very little with the original song and what it meant. But 2023 was finally the year where the samples became so nonsensical and clearly just used to play to the nostalgia of the listening public that I couldn't tolerate it anymore.
What is love? Baby, don't hurt me. Don't hurt me no more.
There's no interesting twist or deeper interpretation to be made that isn't unbearably surface level. So let's make the next one a bit more fun. I'm going to play the video clip for our next entry. And I'll tell you that the song in question samples a song that was very, very popular in 2013. Now, based on this clip, I want you to guess, what is Central C sampling here? There's a lot of very good wrong answers here. Alright, well, lock in your guess, and let's see. If you guessed Passengers Let Her Go, congratulations, you've won first prize, a trip to the Leisure Suit Larry Asylum for the criminally unintuitive.
Only miss the sun when it starts to snow. Only know you love her when you let her go. Alright. Only know you've been high when you're feeling low.
I'm so glad there's at least one video on this list that's at least entertainingly stupid. This year, I foolishly coined the term Rap Rubik Crew shit, when Rap Rubik Crew crap rolls off the tongue so much better. So I'll just claim that as mine and pretend like it was like that from the get-go. RRCC describes music videos with setups like this. The main singer or singers are surrounded by a crew of nameless and personalityless entities, bounding around doing something from one of the following list of overused tropes. Flashing guns, throwing around and fanning money, twerking, doing burnouts in a car, flipping off the camera. But in this instance, the RRCC is being done to a sample of Let Her Go, and it honestly feels like if the music video for Loyal was actually the video for Eyes Closed.
Just dancing with my eyes closed. 'Cause everywhere I look, I still see you.
As boring and useless as any RRCC video is, at least other videos using those cliches are flex songs. It's bravado you're playing up to your mates. Your mates make this kind of echo chamber, allowing your flexes to bound around, multiply, and feed back into your ego. But this song isn't flexing, it's weirdly sensitive and personal. It's a song about being heartbroken about a girlfriend who may or may not have cheated on him, it's not really clear. So the interpolation of the song is literally as surface level as it seems. It's the same meaning again. You don't know what you've got until it's gone. But Central C's detailing of the events is so ridiculously off-putting.
You said that pussy man, so why'd you let it go? It's such a hole.
Classy.
Doing the most to get my attention, baby, I'm not impressed. I changed my bed sheets, but I still smell your flesh.
Ew.
Can't believe I was willing to drop everyone and invest in us. The last time that we fucked was fucked the way you got up, got dressed and cut.
Oh, okay, well, yeah, I can see how that would be a terrible thing to do, just using someone for sex and then immediately leaving.
Turn them around and I put them in doggy. I don't even fuck them in missionary. There's no intimacy, and additionally, it's obligatory when I fuck that up for. I don't even take my socks off.
Well, I can't imagine why it was that she didn't want to stay with you. And just to top it off, he ends the song taking some pages from Morgan Wallen and then taking it a step further. After positing that maybe when she was sleeping around, she was secretly wishing that they were all him, he decides, like a spoiled rich kid not getting his way, that he'll just throw money at the problem.
If you won't give me your love for free, I'll buy it. Just tell me how much it will cost me. Your new man ain't got nothing on me. Fuck your annual wage, I can make that monthly. Alright.
It's like we're finding new levels to pathetic masculinity in music this year. There is no way he told those other guys the song that they were filming for the video. I refuse to believe that these guys are throwing up their hands, covering their face, jamming as hard as they are, knowing that what they're doing sounds like this. I can barely believe Central C himself is doing all of that, and he must know full well what it is he's singing. Actually, that said, the editing is so quick and sloppy that he could in theory be singing anything. It seems like the stuff they filmed of him by himself didn't sustain a full music video, or they were worried that it would make him look too soft, so they had to go and emergency film a bunch of bland garbage and throw it in last minute. Well, the least I can do is thank you, Central C, for definitely giving me the funniest bad video to grace this list. And it seems like with endorsements from Drake, Scooter Braun, and the entirety of Australia, you'll be around to stay. So thank you, TikTok, again, for giving this guy his spotlight.
Only know you love her when you let her go. You said that pussy man, so why'd you let it go? It's such a hoe. When I die, bury me in Georgia.
The rising tide raises all ships, and the receding tide puts Meghan Trainor on this list proper.
I could have my Gucci on. I could wear my Louis Vuitton. But even with nothing on, bet I made you look. I made you look. Yeah.
TikTok had a particularly shocking year in 2023 with its music recommendations. There are no Numb Little Bugs or Roxanne's. Instead, we get a shit ripoff of Take Me to Church, a shit ripoff of Barzy, and worst of all, we get the re-emergence of Meghan Trainor's old doo-wop like a fresh breakout of cold sores. I had Made You Look as a dishonorable mention last year as a warning shot, and my justification for leaving it off the list proper was that I was legitimately optimistic that the public would send this shit back, saying, no thanks, we have the cognitive ability to remember less than a decade ago when you tried this shit. Not so, obviously. TikTok bought into it as a challenge, and because of that, Meghan Trainor was given more time in the limelight. And if Mother is this year's dear future husband, a bizarre psychosexual nightmare, infuriating and uniquely gross, then this is unmistakably a rehash of All About That Bass. Over the course of the year, I've notably thrown away any goodwill I had towards this video. Previously, at least I could say it's colourful, the shots are sufficiently creative, there's nothing outwardly detestable. But this is the year of the Barbie movie, which spawned at least 3 much better music videos, 2 of which use this aesthetic so much more effectively. And the aesthetic is clearly more Candy Crush inspired than Barbie, but since this song decided to linger over this year as well, let's compare it to the others in its weight class.
Watch me dance, dance the night away. My heart could be burning, but you won't see it on my face.
This video is much more blinding and busy than Dance the Night Away. All the sets here don't really make a lot of sense other than filling in the visuals to the punchlines and the verses, and the choreo isn't comparable in the slightest.
And I'm bad like the Barbie. I'm a doll, but I still wanna party. Pink felt like I'm ready to bend. I'm a 10, so I pull in a Ken. Like Jazzy, Stacy, Nikki. All of the Barbies is pretty. Damn. All of the Barbies is bad. It girls, and we ain't playing tag.
The sample here is almost as egregious as the doo-wop, but I'd still rather listen to Nicki Minaj and Ice Spice over Meghan Trainor any day of the week. And visually, I'd still prefer this over Made You Look. There's a variety in the colour palette and set dressing, and while a lot of the sets are unrelated, it's still all generally under the umbrella of Barbie. Made You Look's Candy Crush aesthetic doesn't even permeate all the sets. And you know the other thing that the Barbie aesthetic music videos did right? They knew the value of moderation. One song gets one video, maybe a lyric video too. Meghan, alternatively, has decided to fucking drown us in music videos for this shitty song. We have the original. We have Made You Look again, which seems like the editor asked for another day's pay to make another video. We have the Jimmy Fallon version. We have the a cappella version, which I'll have to dredge over at some point in December. And we have a remix with Joel Corey, who somehow made it even less likable.
Gucci, 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 my Gucci, 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 Gucci.
This shit is just poison. I'm sorry I didn't address it properly, and I've got no choice but to take the failure of her recent singles after Made You Look as temporary setbacks, just in case she decides to crop up again, propped up by TikTok. I can't believe she made me look twice.
Said I made you look.
When I die, bury me in Georgia.
Imagine, if you will for a moment, being such a renowned artist that you don't need your art to financially succeed anymore. You don't have to play to any algorithm, you don't have to feature any products, you're a slave to no brands or people. You're dominating the industry to the extent that your name alone provides this type of certificate of value, and you can print money with it alone. We've seen it in a few artists. Jay-Z and Beyonce can release anything, and it'll do really well because there is a legitimate talent and passion behind it. Also backed up by a near cult-like worship that has been developed over the past few decades. but it also doesn't need to do really well. They can go years at a time without releasing anything. They can take the time to distill and perfect their art if they want to. But what if you gave that type of institutional power to someone who didn't aspire to create the best art they can? What if you gave it to someone who deliberately used that position to their advantage, as a parachute, taking comfort in the fact that they cannot fail? Well, you get 2023 Drake.
Bitch, next time I swear on my grandmother's grave, I'm slamming you for them kid choices you made. Slamming you out, slamming you out, slamming you out.
We can probably throw up number 2 while we're at it. And here we arrive at the honorary spot saved for Drake on my worst music videos list. This year, he parked his car so badly he managed to take up 2 slots. In 2023, it seems like the rest of the world is finally coming around to my way of seeing things in not tolerating Drake anymore. Appearing on a number of worst songs of 2023 lists, it's finally dawned on everyone to stop giving a pass to this guy who routinely has been presenting himself to be as likable as a water slide made of cheese graters. Now, my relationship with Drake's art isn't very black and white. I think his music is generally terrible, but I appreciate his music videos for always managing to elicit some sort of emotional response from me, even if it's resoundingly negative. So, in a way, I don't want to see him vanish completely. That said, Slime You Out and 8am and Charlotte are strong arguments that we should leave him behind to fester in the lair of the limp and lame that is 2023. Let's talk musically first. I'm told that these songs are both quite good. I'm told that 8am and Charlotte is one of the strongest of his album For All the Dogs, and that Slime You Out is a grower that you just need to give it more time to appreciate it. I'm telling you these things I've been told to give you the context of what I think the general consensus is before I say, I hear nothing of value here. Look, I'll easily admit I don't have the intellectual chops to deconstruct a song's production, its influences, how his flow works. It's something I'd like to learn at some point, but as of right now, it's a blind spot for me. It's why most of the time it's really the way the music is integrated with the video that makes me consider why a video is good or bad. But I hear nothing unique or interesting about these 2 songs. The only song I think might have sounded worse was Drake's Search and Rescue, which sounds like he's talking into a Nintendo DS voice recorder.
Who don't know how to express my love, that's why American Express my love for you. That is shit.
All of these other songs we've talked about so far I can listen to and find some sort of groove or hook to enjoy, or at least not kill the DJ for putting it on. These 2 songs don't have any such qualities. There was so much hype around this album being Drake going back to the old Drake, trying to get back to his roots and find his original sound. And this album was heralded as a triumph for him being able to jump right back onto the horse after his other projects. But for all this talk of old and new Drake, I don't know what old Drake is. With the exception of maybe 2 songs I can recall off the top of my head, Drake's music has perpetually been this black, oily sludge. If you take a cup of it, throw it into an album and call it For All the Dogs, I'm going to have a hard time distinguishing it from the cup of it that you threw into an album called Scorpion. At least with something like Honestly Nevermind, he got a particularly shiny bit of oil in the cup, and managed to spit out garbage like this that was at least entertainingly bad. I can distinguish some music like Hotline Bling, Tootsie Slide, and Way Too Sexy, but that's because those songs are actively offensive and not just bland and boring. But songs like 8am and Charlotte, Slime You Out, Knife Talk, I'm Upset, Jumpman, they leave no impact on me whatsoever outside of literally knowing how he might say the title line. So the promise that he sounds like the old Drake means absolutely nothing to me. What about the video? Well, for the Slime You Out, we get the choice of a lazy visualizer, a loop of the same 6 seconds of some slime dripping from the top of the screen, or we get the lyric video. And honestly, for his benefit, he should have just left it at the lazy visualizer. I'd rather get a 6-second GIF looped 500 times than get visual confirmation that the lyrics I think I'm hearing are actually what I'm hearing.
I don't know what's wrong with you girls. I feel like y'all don't need love. You need somebody who could micromanage you, you know what I'm saying? Tell you right from wrong, who's smart from who's a fool, which utensil to use for which food, like.
This is like the 3rd line out the gate, and it's at this point I look down at the remaining 4.5 minutes and go, yeah, this is going on the worst list. Like, what is the appropriate response? It's not presented as a joke. It's not something you want to go on and then hear him justify. It's almost the quickest I've clicked away from a Drake song. But the lyrics do get worse.
January, you pretend to see life clearly, daily. February is a time that you put the evil eye and the pride aside for the fantasy of getting married. Very scary. March got you already second guessing titles.
He really does go on to do some dumb gimmick for every month of the year. I think I can see why this video is 5 minutes. But it's not just the fact that Drake's been a complete asshole. His sexism is on full display, and the references he's making in these lyrics are really weird. Even down to the title, Slime You Out. Slime You Out apparently means to use a person for your own purposes and then break up. So, in Drake's case, it's as gross as it sounds. And he takes the reference further by alluding to the Kids' Choice Awards, which is unbelievably skeevy. And I can't say there's much more to expect from 8am in Charlotte. Alright Drake, Slime You Out had people clicking off in the first 15 seconds. Reckon you could do anything to beat that record?
Alright, Adonis, tell me about your beautiful piece of artwork that you sold me.
So, it's the same story. So the goat was running away from the other monsters and the other animals, and a flower blocking the way.
And that intro is perfect for this video, as it gives you the perfect taste of what to expect, because it's like trying to have a toddler explain Drake's thought process. It's just frustrating and it goes on forever. The intro itself is only really cute if you know the kid, or have any fondness for the kid. I don't know him, and the general public won't either. And I don't want to be ragging on the kid, he's doing exactly what he's told to do. I'm ragging on the fact that Drake is using his son as a hype man to the detriment of the music video. And I don't care how lyrically dense or intellectual this song is. There's no hook, there's no chorus, there's nothing to keep me from clicking away other than obligation. This isn't a song, this is a spoken word poetry being preached to you on a podium in a shit art house where the poet has brought his kid on stage to dance around for a bit.
Knowing they gon' sell another Citizen Kane, they think they Orson Welles.
Even those that are at the absolute top still need to engage in a little onboarding. If you're not actively seeking new fans and more people aren't suddenly discovering your sound, the pool of fans is eventually going to dry up or at the very least thin out. Artists like Beyonce and Taylor Swift understand this. Beyonce's Break My Soul is ridiculously accessible, and Taylor Swift knew to use Anti-Hero through social media to reach people that still somehow hadn't heard her music before. But Drake offers no onboarding for anybody new. These songs about flexing how all his victories are so hard fought and how successful he is now, they do absolutely nothing for any casual listeners. Why would they care? And in terms of videos, Drake doesn't need his songs or videos to be good. There's no benefit in that. What he needs is for them to be talked about. So making them controversial or polarizing is the best way to do that. Getting any sort of reaction, positive or negative, means that he's still a name on someone's lips. Well, I'm getting pretty tired of it. If he comes back from his self-imposed hiatus with videos as weak as these, I'm going to surrender his year-end slot to, I don't know, Jack Harlow or someone with slightly less contempt for people with ears and a brainstem. Before we drag the only thing that could have been worse through the mud, let's take a look at the dishonorable mentions that wouldn't have even been mentioned in better years. A very average retread of Wrecking Ball visually and The Climb audibly, but I'd still listen to this 1,000 times over Flowers. All the scenes are interesting, but they just amount to a waste of time. There's no thread connecting it all, it's just a ghost train ride with no payoff. There's a stench of way too sexy wafting off of the sets, particularly the Spider-Man meme one. It didn't make the list proper because Drake has definitely had worse, and I didn't want to bring J. Cole down like that. I think his verse is actually okay. But Drake being a wolf, having sex with dogs, is not something I would have had on my bingo card.
I never thought my day of justice would come from a judge under a sea, but I knew right then
stuck.
I wasn't on board with this video from the outset, as I don't really like the idea of suggesting taking vigilante justice into your own hands is a suitable solution. I especially don't like that in this song and in the video, he makes a note of how he stole one of the abuser's cigarettes after he'd killed them.
I didn't try to hide my pistol. I didn't even try to run. I just sat on the porch smoking one of his cigarettes and waited for the cops to come.
It all plays a bit too much like a white knight fantasy, and I think the embellishment does ruin it. Ultimately, it doesn't make the list because I think the writing in the song is still solid, almost poetic in its composition. I just wish it had been a bit more grounded and less used to serve the ego.
So baby, put your hands on me, both hands on me. When we dance, put your hands all over me.
Ew.
When I die, bury me in Georgia.
This year's worst music video only works if you understand the before and after of its release. So let me tell you a story. Once upon a time, there was a man. Let's call him Jason. Now, Jason's been releasing music since 2005. He's releasing a new album roughly every 2 years since then. And they do pretty well. His videos, for the most part, are exactly what you'd expect from someone in his genre. If you ask me for any highlights from his videography, I'd probably say the video where he sang directly to camera while an unrelated music video with a bland colour palette is spliced in, which is all of them. Now more recently, he hasn't been doing so well, if his album sales are to be believed. And that's a big deal. Country musicians can have a huge impact on the chart performance of a certain song through the sales of their albums. You see K-pop stans and rabid fan bases mass buy out albums and songs to support the artist and boost them to higher spots on the charts. But, oh, wait a minute. Jason, this number is going down. Oh no, that's a tenth of what it was. Now, I'm no expert chart analyst, but a downward slope like that, left unattended, is likely to continue in the same direction. I actually put Trouble with a Heartbreak on my worst list last year as a representation of all that's the worst with country music videos. And I didn't quite realise how apposite that would be, seeing as he was decisively on his way out. And not only that, it seems he might have been getting too big for his boots behind the scenes as well, getting dropped by his PR firm when his wife posted some anti-trans stuff on Instagram. So that's it. His songs aren't doing well and people don't want to work with him. We don't need him anymore. He's finished. But it just can't be as easy as that, can it? This year, despite the odds, Jason found himself taking the #1 spot on Billboard at the end of July. Now, I'm not playing the actual video here because I don't want him to get anything from this video when a content ID picks it up. So, to save you looking into it for yourself, it's a bog-standard pin-up video of Aldine and crew singing and performing in front of a courthouse, with images of bland, cliché Americana projected against the building. The entire video is also intercut with more Americana clichés, and most notably, video clips of riots, protests, and general violence. The song itself is a threat from Aldine to all you people who think you could get away with crime in the big city. He goes on to insinuate that you wouldn't be able to get away with it if you lived in a small town, promising a different sort of violent punishment. So on one level, the song and its content is complete garbage. Macho, braggadocious posturing, hyping up small rural towns as places of equality and justice. But pairing this particular us and them mentality with the video is where it takes on its darker meaning. The courthouse Aldine is performing in front of is the Maury County Courthouse in Tennessee. This particular courthouse, like a number of courthouses in America's South, has a history of lynching and race riots. One particular named example of a lynching case here is suspiciously very easy to find if one happened to Google it. Something to note is that while the song doesn't specifically mention protest, the video features a number of clips of the Black Lives Matter movement, as well as other vague, unnamed protests. So the video seems to be combining the history of the courthouse in this music video, the Black Lives Matter protests intercut with it, and the song promoting this us and them mentality between rural and urban living. So what conclusions can we reach from this? Well, the general consensus is Jason Aldean is a big dumb racist. And so everyone took to social media to vent their anger. A lot of people were quick to notice that the footage used was not exclusively American footage, or footage from the news. A lot of people were quick to label the video as pro-lynching and endorsing vigilante justice. A lot of people were quick to catch on to the racist dog whistling. And all of these people made their voices heard. They wrote about it, they talked about it, they TikToked about it, and it got to the stage where people were watching the video just to see what everyone was talking about. And herein lies the way the song soared to #1. Jason Aldean rode the outrage wave straight to the top. And there's a lot of suspicious stuff about this video, and its interplay with this song. The dots are seeming to line up really, really easily. It's almost like the subliminal message many eagle-eyed journalists have managed to spot actually has the subtlety of a small child when his iPad is taken away from him. And to further this point, it's important to clarify, when I generally talk about an artist by name, I'm not usually talking about them as a person, I'm talking about them as a brand. Music videos often have no influence or input from the artists themselves. So when I say Meghan Trainor's music video is garbage and Meghan Trainor is an idiot for going back to her old sound, I'm talking about Meghan Trainor, the brand, the people behind her making those decisions. So let me clarify. Jason Aldean, the brand, is very clever for composing this music video and riding the hate wave all the way to #1. I can completely believe Jason Aldean, the brand, deliberately chose a courthouse that had a specific history of lynching. Jason, the person, is on his way out. Him releasing his usual crap just won't cut it anymore. They need something drastic to bring in some notoriety. And the song certainly wasn't doing it by itself. It was released at the end of May. Do you think it's a coincidence that the swell of interest in the song suddenly picked up when the music video was released midway through July? The song didn't even chart on Billboard until 2 months after its release. So I can see his people demanding the location scout for the music video try to find a place that matches the content of the song in some way. At the end of the day, there's no difference between the views that Aldean's fans give him and the views that are drummed up by the curiosity of gullible idiots who want to see something on the internet that will upset them. And on that note, don't look this video up. It's a waste of time. The video is a bland, grey mess of Americana cliches, stock footage, and concert pin-up bile we've seen 1,000 times before. There's no intrigue or visual flair. This would have easily missed the list if it weren't for the fervent backlash. And it's not even necessarily worth pointing out that Jason Aldean, the person, isn't even from a small town. He didn't even write this song. Jason Aldean, the person, is strung to Jason Aldean, the brand, at the hip. He has no say in this. He's just the face of it. So ripping into these suspiciously easily placed targets on him in a public space is playing into what the brand want. They want engagement, whether it's positive or negative. Okay, yes, I see the hypocrisy in me saying all of that here. But this isn't 6ix9ine posting some deliberate bait to put himself back into the spotlight for 5 minutes. This is a brand deciding to paint easy targets on their artist so that music journalists and TikTokers can create any sort of discourse to wring any amount of money out of what was once their cash cow. But most importantly, for as much as I rag on country music videos, this is not emblematic of what country music is at all. Country music had a massively successful year, with a number of really good songs that deserve to be highlighted. But this song was the tumor that clung to that success, reducing the discussion of country music down to rednecks being racist and thick. I'm labeling this video as the worst of 2023 because I want it to stand as a reminder not to fall for rage bait, to see when we're being manipulated by the industry, and to guarantee I go looking for better country music videos in the future as penance if nothing else. See us off, Toad.
If the pool hasn't been looked after like this one, just advertise it as a wine cooler filled with Midori.
Just know if I diss you, I make sure you know that I hit you like I'm on your caller ID. I'm naming the album to fall off. It's pretty ironic, cause it ain't no follow for me.
Thought we wouldn't notice, but we did.